Good lunchtime, folks. This is Libby. We are delighted to have Erdina Francelon, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
And Heather Cox. And it's going to be a fun presentation. I know it's a crazy time of the year and day, so this will also be recorded. You will receive a certificate of attendance for participating, and I will put the link at the end of the meeting. But please, even if you don't really care about a certificate, please go ahead and complete the survey so that we have a record of your attendance. Um, we are just so excited, and we appreciate Microsoft for being willing to take the time to help us through this whole process with Teams and Microsoft tools. They're wonderful tools, but sometimes you need a little help in learning how to use them. So thank you so much, and I'm just going to let you guys get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Libby. And hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for having us again. I know I want to say again a special thank you to um, well, first, I want to know what you guys are seeing. So can you see my screen and can you still see me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can see your
I'm
screen
loving
and you.
that you are doing the new one
And
of our new features. I've not yet
yes,
tried it, so I'm
I
loving it.
okay. I can you guys see that on your end, Libby and team, me in front of the presentation, or you just see me?
I'm seeing you in the bottom. Is that where
Okay.
you want to be? Okay. And
Okay.
you're also captioning. Great.
Yes, I am captioning. And just as a feedback, that language is Haitian Creole, which is where my parents are from Haiti, and so that's the auto live translation that's happening. I thought I changed that to be for English, so let me see if I can do that. But there you go. You're getting live demos of all the capabilities. I think there's about 122 languages in there that we can use for subtitles. So always fun new things in PowerPoint. But yes, thanks everyone for the time. I know that you've seen some great sessions from Danielle and Jerry for those around teams for instruction. We know there was a lot of questions about class notebook, and so that's going to be the session for next time. But we wanted to bring you something that's kind of hot off the press. When it comes to reading. And this is just, the timing is really serendipitous because apparently this is a top secret project that our engineering team has been working on since pre-COVID, and it hasn't even been released out into the market yet. But we've been asked to kind of share it with school, counties, and educators that we know have an immediate need. So we wanted to show you a quick demo today. This is something that's already live for you that we've worked with your team over at the DOE IT team to turn on for you. So we wanted to show you very quickly today, get you excited about, because we think it's really in line with some of the conversations and feedback we've been hearing from Leanne and from Ria and from team. And so I brought my amazing colleague, Heather, who does my role in helping schools sort of understand how to use Teams, but she does it for the Southeast region, particularly in Georgia. And so she's an educator herself. So I'm not, and so I said, I think this is one of those, I always love to bring to you all, educators who are demoing, using the products, have experience in the classroom, so you can, not only just get the Microsoft side, but like the voice of the teacher side. So Heather, you want to just say anything to introduce yourself? You're amazing. And if any of you have ever attended our Microsoft Office hours, which is Thursday, it's kind of more of an IT audience, but also very, very cool and a lot of education centric things. So Heather, if you want to give a plug for that as well, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So very excited to be here today. While Erdina is like, she's just amazing, and she could do this without me 100%. But being that this is a fully academic product, she thought that it may just be like a little add-on to have like a perspective from somebody that was in the classroom. So we do the same role, but before Microsoft, I was 100% in education. So I spent 10 years as a general ed classroom teacher. Fourth grade's where my heart lives, but I did do a lot of co-taught teaching. So for 5 of the 10 years, I was with special ed and general ed. And then I spent 3.5 years as an instructional technology coach. And so I did that both in the county that I had previously worked in, and then through a university here in Georgia, Kennesaw State University, and supported some schools. Actually, they're all over the place in various regions before I joined Microsoft. So when I see reading progress, and the one thing that I'll say before Erdina goes into the demo is, when I first started 3 years ago at Microsoft, Immersive Reader was kind of the new cool academic thing that had rolled out, and I was blown away. I thought, this is absolutely incredible. How have people lived using technology and not had this in their classrooms? This is the first time since then that I've had the same response. To me, the world of difference that this would have made had I been able to use this with my students is incredible. So basically, I'll just add some, some color commentary about, different ways to think about the usage that maybe the slides don't tell or the demo doesn't tell, but different ways to think about it that hopefully you can relate to from the field of education.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Heather. All right, let's get started. And we want to make this interactive. Throw your questions in as always. And yeah, let's get started. The product is called, or sort of the new feature that's being rolled out is called Reading Progress. And the whole inspiration behind it is very in line with what we've heard from you all about, sort of maybe how things were or maybe are, well, and for those of you who are a hybrid at this point, but that experience of measuring reading fluency. Of having to pull a child out of a classroom, right? Sort of sit with them and have them go through a reading assignment individually. And the thought process was behind very similar to what Heather was saying with Immersive Reader of how could teams be used? How could the Immersive Reader technology be used to really help, one, make that experience for students a little less isolating and nerve-wracking, right? I think reading in front of someone at any age is difficult. And this exact scenario, we've actually been thinking for schools that provide like English as a second language for parents, or colleges that provide English as a second language for adults, or English as a second language within students at the K through 12 level. But no matter where you are, whether English is your first language or second language, reading in another language, reading when you're not comfortable, reading when you have fluency gaps and opportunities, can be a little isolating and has not really changed. The process has not changed for educators, and is still very static. Grading is still very, very manual. And so how could we help as Microsoft in that process? And so that was the inspiration behind Reading Progress. The idea being, how do we help students build confidence in their ability to read and really be able to measure and see themselves and sort of measure and see their progress in a more progressive way, and take out that nervousness of reading, or again, that feeling of, man, I did this so well at home when I was alone, but then I was in front of someone and then I got stuck. And then from the educator point of view of, if you're doing, depending on your load of how many reading fluency checks that you're doing, again, it could be very manual, in very, there's what way, and I'm sure that you all have built your own sort of mechanisms, but how can we help teachers in sort of being able to really see the progress over a period of time? With the methods of a stopwatch, a piece of paper, a pencil, what else could we do to help, and what other tools could we sort of provide in a toolkit? Times 27 students, so this might resonate. So the idea is that, what we did is very similar to what we did with Immersive Reader, is that we sort of developed this problem statement, or our engineering group did, and then went out and spoke to teachers, did the research. And I'll just show this quick video to kind of give you a sense of what's possible, to get you excited, and then go into the quick demo. Oops, Here we go.
The study of Earth's landforms is called bicycle geography. The study of Earth's landforms is called bicycle geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys. They can also bicycle geography.
So like Heather said, these are the type of things that for us, we get so excited because we're like, wow, look at how, the company is sort of listening to sort of the feedback that's coming from educators. And again, and what's exciting is that starting in the fall, this is something that's going to be generally available to as a free addition to Teams for schools around the world and around the nation. So again, and we've been asked what are some counties and districts that we feel like need a preview, and I was very vocal of we need to bring this to West Virginia. So if you go into the assignments, if you open a class team, a new one if you don't currently have one, or an existing one, you should be able to go into the assignments tab and see that reading progress beta is a feature that's turned on. So again, we're going to show you a little bit more slower of sort of how it goes, but the big picture idea is that students can record themselves using the power of immersive reader to help them with fluency. And then you on the back end, as the educators submitting the assignment, are able to see three insights over time. One around accuracy, one around average words per minute, and then words that the student is repeatedly having trouble with. So that's how it works. Here's a bit of the background of how it started. Some of the educators, that were involved in sort of the ideation of the product, and what we want to do now is take it down to the local level. And so we're also looking for educators who are interested in giving us feedback. There's a private team that we've developed that's with educators from all around the nation, that it's almost like a cohort, right? If you're interested in sort of providing feedback about how the product is working for you and things that you'd like to see. So if you'd like to be a part of that team, please, I'll put my email in the chat window, and so that you could send me a note, or perhaps I could ask Libby or Leanne to sort of curate a list. Would love to get you up in that group if you're interested, so you could see what other educators are saying about how they're using this. And again, you can really have that direct voice of what's possible and how this is going to impact students across the country. So this is the flow of how it works. I am going to switch over. Well, actually, I think we can kind of go through this. But again, guys, feel free to sort of raise your hand or jump in if as you have questions. So as I mentioned, to use this, you have to have a class team. And remember, a class team, right, is unique than just like a general team because of two key things of a class notebook that's attached to that team. And again, we'll go into the deep dive of that next session. And then also an assignments pane, right, where you could use this for sort of quick quizzing and just general way to sort of even push individual practice, extra credit assignments to students as a part of your practice. Within the assignments feature, again, this is what you should be able to see when you go in to sort of populate an assignment, and that you're going to see the reading progress beta to the left-hand side. And so once you click reading progress, that's going to activate that, okay, you're trying to start a reading progress type assignment with your students. And currently you have two options to upload either, I believe right now it's a Word document and a PDF document may be coming. So maybe one option and another option loading. So the flow is you upload a Word document, and then you also get to set the reading level. So we had some questions from your team about, okay, what does the reading level mean? I learned about, I think it's text, is it textiles, or I think the high school version of reading levels. So the idea with the reading levels is, I believe it's just an alphabetical lens. You get to set it, right? And so this is really where I think internally that you'll have to have a discussion of what do the reading levels mean for you, maybe at your building level, your county level, or maybe it's even maybe a DOE perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're able to sort of set look at your assignments and say this assignment falls within this particular reading level, and sort of set it at that pace. So it's whatever it means to you.
Yeah, I'll just add really quickly to that. That does not affect any of the scoring. That's more for the tracking of what's taking place. So whatever you enter in the reading level, whatever you enter in the genre, that's not going to affect what's taking place. That's just part of the tracking of what they've read, and you'll see that. So it could be left completely blank, or you can add those two categories in there. So, and it can be like Erdina said with the reading level, maybe it's, we did several things. We had we had the Scholastic Reading Inventory that gave us the Lexile, or we did Fontes and Pinnell, so yeah, you get you could enter in the reading level however it worked for your, for the tracking that was needed. I think Elizabeth has a question.
I do. This is Libby. Because all of the folks attending today are speech language pathologists, I think that they would be most interested in the mispronunciations and being able to document progress with students who are working on speech sound disorders. And so just to kind of mention that these are all speech language pathologists, and they would still be able to use these reading lists, and it would be a great way to document progress. But, if you can kind of apply it to their specific needs, that would be wonderful.
Perfect.
And how good is it at detecting speech errors?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
go ahead. Can I add? Yeah, just really fast. So that's one of the things. So you'll see specifically going along those lines when you see the pronunciation sensitivity and the require video. So one thing to think about with the pronunciation sensitivity is you can leave it at standard, and that's actually something that can be adjusted later. So you can adjust it higher or lower based upon that speech student and what their needs may be. And I don't know if I don't believe this demo shows you that adjustment, but it is interesting to see. Now, the require video, I think that is a really key part for the speech and language pathologist, because I know with speech and language, you are also looking at how are the students forming those words? What is their tongue doing? What's the mouth movement that's going on? So I would always recommend having require video be on for this assignment, specifically because then you'll always be able to go back and see what was the student doing. And so when we think about the progress, not just with the fluency, but the progress of how are they forming those words and those letters.
Yeah, great point. And I know that, that sort of how the students are moving their mouths, being able to see them and sort of measure that progress over time was a big discussion point when we first started getting in speaking with the group. But yeah, let's jump into so what the student sees. So the student sort of clicks on the assignment, they start their reading, right? And they're able to, again, with the power, they have immersive read, they sort of click, I'm ready to record. And then they can go here to this tab and sort of turn on immersive reader to help them, right? Sort of format the theme, format the font, increase the spacing, text and then start recording, right? And so when that they're able to either start over or click that they're finished as they're recording. And so this is what you see sort of coming back and reviewing the assignment. So whether it's been turned in, how many times it's been resubmitted, right? And that this is where you're able to see the sort of the 5 categories of mispronunciations: complete omissions of words, self-corrections, and insertions and repetitions. So Libby, to your question of how accurate it is, Heather, I'll defer to you on it because I know this has been like a hot topic of how accurate it is, and I think the key message is that it's pretty good, right? But I think this is again a beta tool, right, where it's continuing to get better, and exactly why we're looking for feedback for educators to join that sort of cohort group to tell us where you're seeing gaps.
I think that's the perfect way to describe it, is that, you know, it is machine learning. So it's using that artificial intelligence, and it, as Erdina mentioned, it is in beta, so it's at the beginning of the process, and they will continue to make improvements, and the machine learning will continue to make improvements. What she'll show you in a second is that you have a lot of control as the educator when it comes to, so this has auto detect turned on, which means that it auto detected those categories, the mispronunciations, etc. It can also be off, and you can score it 100% from scratch. But Erdina will show you just how much control you have as the educator when going through this process.
And yeah, we'll go to that in a minute. I think more of a deep dive. But what I love is sort of the attempts, the levels, and I think again this sort of toggle here of again, do you want the auto detect? How much pronunciation sensitivity that you'd like? And again, just having sort of, when we look at the back end of being able to track that progress over time. So average words per minute, accuracy rate. And as Heather was saying, you know, even if you want to look at it by reading level, if you want to look at just a specific sort of subset of days, right? So, and then again, those key trouble words for this, and then, you know, here the data around omission, substitution. So, you know, when this is all information that's available to you for any team that you create, whether it's a team of one, right? Of like a student to student team, or if it's, you know, a team where you have different channels, different sort of places for all of the students that you work with. So yeah, so that's one view. Let me toggle over, I think, to a more, this is a video that we've shared with your DOE team, so Mark Moore and friends. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to post this, but I will ask, and I'll also just provide you all access as well so that you can download and keep for yourselves. But this is a more in-depth, slower 11, 12-minute overview of sort of the step-by-step of what's possible. So as we said, very similar. You start with reading progress beta. You're able to, you know, only Word documents in English are supported at this time. You set your reading level, number of attempts, pronunciation, sensitivity.
Can I
go ahead.
just a quick comment. So as obviously, you know, it said that currently only English is available, and when we say only English is available right now, we mean for auto detect. So if, for example, you were working with a student, you have a speech student, but maybe they're natively a Spanish speaker, you could, even though I know you may be working on the English reading, you could potentially upload a document in another language. Auto detect would not work at this time, but you would still be able to use it and score it. And then just one more comment that popped into my head regarding the sensitivity. So in thinking about the range of students you may have in your class, you may have native English speakers that are working on their speech. You may have non-native English speakers. So that's where that sensitivity level would be key. You may have the sensitivity level set a little bit lower for a student that's an ELL student, and they are really learning the language for the first time in addition to working on their speech. And you may have it set a little bit higher for a student that is, working and they're a native English speaker and they're working on their speech in a different way. So that's where a lot of that flexibility does come in.
Awesome. Flexibility, that's the thing. And again, we all want, some of you to join that group so that you could tell us what else, right, that you'd like to see here. And so we could take that back to the team and they can provide you feedback on what's possible. But yeah, as Heather said, this is your picky dial, right, of pronunciation, sensitivity, how much and how little you want. So what we encourage you to do is, go and test this out, right? I'm trying to think, Heather, if I'm a speech pathologist and I'm submitting an assignment, what's the best way that you recommend for folks to sort of try this out? I mean, other than submitting it to a student and having them try it out.
I mean, you could certainly test it out yourself if you have children. I actually just got myself access to it as well. And so I have 3 daughters, 2 of which are school age. And so I plan on having them test it just to see the accuracy level and figure out how to go through, what do I want to mark? A couple of the other, they may get to it later, the video itself, because remember, that's an important thing that we discussed with being able to see the mouth movement. But I would just test it in any way, test it. And then another really important point that I don't think the video goes into, but I know it's a kind of a bone of contention depending upon the reading fluency checks that take place in any form of a district or at a DOE level, is that there are some that are very much, standardized and there's no adjustment. You're going to use this. That's how it is. What we as an education team are trying to say is we do not expect anybody to throw out the research-based, not that this isn't research-based, because it is, or Dina spoke to that, but we do not expect anybody to throw out any kind of formalized reading fluency. The idea is for the practice. The idea is to allow students a low stakes environment that can be done at any time that not only benefits the student immediately, but benefits them because the teacher now has evidence and data, usable data, that they can support the students with. Because I laugh at those beginning slides. I have such clear memories of sitting at a desk in the hallway with my students and the little books that match their reading level and sitting there and marking all of the things. And, what are the things that I can't get from that? I never have a video to look back at. I'm not able to see what were they doing? How were they reading? If I missed something, I missed it. And I have no way of going back to track that. So when we think about this that's, I think the whole reason they're calling it progress is that it's simply a tool for that purpose.
Great point, Heather. Probably the point we should have opened up with. I should have opened up with. But yes, not intended to replace, just amplify. So the processes that you already have. So what else? So this is sort of the breakdown of, the assignment, right? How you sort of submit points. If you'd like to, you could always say no points, right? Because it's like, again, if this is just practice. But you have that choice, and then all students. So again, if you want to test this out, right, create a class team, and maybe, adds a colleague of yours as a student, right, and have them record something, right, if you don't want to try it out with an actual student, or assign it to another account that you have, right, but go in, test it, set the permissions, right, and then once your student signs in, right, again, this is what they're going to be able to see, sort of the multiple assignments they have, when it's due, and once they click on it, they're going to click on the Word document. They're going to have to enable, access of the microphone and camera to their device if indeed, as we imagine that you all are going to require video. Click ready to start, and go through that process of recording. So this is really it. They'll be, once they turn it in, again, they'll get that cool, sort of some icons. And again, they can undo the turn in if that's something that you enable for students to be able to retake and re-record. And again, this auto detect is something you can completely turn off if really what you're looking for is to just have the video and enter feedback. And again, you can return, right? So for those of you who are new to Teams assignments, you could enter your feedback and say, really great here. This is, would really love you to, continue working on this. Again, understanding that many of you are working with students that, that are very young age. So written feedback may not be the way that you're using this, but just as a tidbit that if you wanted to use written feedback and return the assignment, that's possible.
Another quick thing to note is that you see that the auto detect was on and it went through and it identified items. When you play the video, so that video will play back right there in the screen if you want. You can also make that full screen if you just want to focus on the student and not the words itself. But if you feel, because this is where the educator has so much control, if you feel like something is incorrectly marked, you simply click on the word, it brings up the menu of the other option, of all the options that are available, as well as the ability to just take that off completely. So you can either change the category under which it falls or simply take it off and say, nope, that's not a mispronunciation. Yeah, there it was. I just saw it.
Yeah, so it was just there.
It just popped up.
There. Oh,
you were doing such, yes, there you go. So you click on the word and you can, this is what we were saying, you can score it without auto detect, or if auto detect did score it, you have the ability to make that, all of those changes. So this is where we talk about some of that time saving, giving time back to educators, saying, you know what, let's give you a start, listen in, watch the video, but if you believe that something is not correct, that is your prerogative to make that adjustment.
This really is exciting, guys. I can see why you guys were wanting to share this, because I could see multiple uses for speech language pathologists as far as, especially having the video and assigning speech homework to work on. And then you could actually have it, and the kids really might like that more than maybe practicing with their parents or whatever. So you'd have that kind of documentation as well.
One of the points that, so as I mentioned, I was an elementary teacher, and the account executive that I work with currently, strangely enough, was my former principal. So we're now peers, but he used to be my principal while I was working with him. And when we've done some stuff with reading progress, he continually brought up some great points that I never thought of as well. So let's say you have a brand new speech and language teacher, and these students are new to them. They have the past progress that has been done. They're able to see, where did the student start? Not just look at numbers, not just look at, words per minute or accuracy. They're able to also be able to see that past progress that took place. And then even if they're not new, from year to year, you may have multiple speech and language teachers within a building. And so when they go from 3rd grade to 4th grade, they have a new instructor, and they want to be able to understand, where were they? And again, they can go through these records, they can look at that. There's so many benefits to having this as a tracking mechanism for students to have that practice and progress.
Love that, Heather. And Libby, we're happy you're excited. Just as excited. And then again, going back to that view, this is, in addition to that, so this is the sort of the next piece of, okay, how do you get those insights? So if you don't currently have insights turned on, you don't see it here when you have a class team, you'll need to go down here to the team's apps store. Click on it, and going a little too fast there, or maybe too slow. Go the other way. Yes, click on it, and then and actually, I'm sorry, it's not in that. You need to click on the plus button. My apologies. So the App Store has a lot of cool functions and features there, but all you have to do is click the plus button, actually, and then that's going to show you sort of all the different tabs that are available for you to add into your team, right? So as a reminder that you can add, a form, an additional OneNote, tasks, a stream channel. There's a lot of education apps, a website, a whiteboard, right? Maybe you want to pin a Word document to your team. So tabs are great. I think we can add, up to 30, Heather, if I remember correctly. But Insights is the one that you want to be able to add, and that is going to give you, again, this is only something that you are going to be able to see on your view as the owner of the team, or your co-owners of the team that are not listed as students. And that is going to give you that view into sort of the activity, digital engagement, even around, who's inactive, missed submissions for the deadlines that you've set. And sort of indicators of where there's opportunity to sort of check in on students. And then the progress over time. The great thing with Insights, and by the way, Insights exists for any class team, whether you're using Reading Progress or not. And that the thing with Insights is that always with teams, the 3 dots leads to more goodness, is that you're able to export. You're able to export this data, to Heather's point, if you want to be able to sort of share that and track that. If you're like, hey, okay, I'm going to close this team, but I want to be able, at the end of a school year, but I want to be able to retain, right, maybe some of this data to share and maybe pass on. So, again, we'd love to hear feedback from you all on, one, is it working for you? Do you see reading progress? When you turn on an assignment, let us know if you're having any trouble. And then, ideas of, as Heather was mentioning, what does this look like and sort of pass it with students matriculate to different grade bands? And do you have what you need to, what are the thoughts on how you work together between different buildings, different grade bands, sort of passing this information along, to give you all, again, more insights in the students that you're dealing with and sort of how they've progressed over time. So we've said a lot. Questions, thoughts on this? Anything that you didn't see today that maybe we could go research for you and bring back? I know it's Friday. We're bringing to you all this fun goodness. And you're just trying to end the week.
Well, I think the invitation to provide, feedback and ask questions, I think will be great, because this could be a very useful tool, I think, for speech language pathologists. So thank you.
Thank you all. And
Ardina, this is Leanne. I made it. So I missed part of the presentation, but I know when you showed it to me the other day, I agree with Libby. There's so many different ways it could be used for speech language pathologists. So I'm very excited that they were able to see this today and can plan on maybe using it next year as they start their sessions with students. And we will try to send out a survey of some kind to see if anyone's interested in participating in your collaborative piece, and share that information with you.
Okay, so. Perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you.
And
for
I'll
that.
put the verification of attendance link in the chat. So make sure you fill that out as well, folks.
Wonderful. And so for next session, we'd love, again, to hear feedback of if you've had a chance to test it, and that we're going to build on this on the deep dive of class notebooks. So again, in that spirit of preparing for the new year, so taking some of all the different sessions that and of what you've learned through this series, we're going to have one of our